Hey, in this video, you will learn everything you need to know to play Darius in your next ranked games. Let's get into it. Let's start out talking about Darius' abilities. The first one is the passive Hemorrhage. It is a damage over time ability that stacks up to 5 times. Upon reaching 5 stacks, you get a buff called Noxian Might. Once you have Noxian Might, you get bonus attack damage, a lot of it. And not only that, whenever you hit a new target, you instantly apply 5 stacks as well. Next up we have Darius' Q Decimate. Decimate is a massive circle around you. If you hit people in the right area in the circle, then you do a lot of damage to them, and you also heal a decent amount. Any Darius player knows that being able to hit Q consistently is absolutely crucial and is one of the most important things that you gotta learn playing Darius. Now, one small thing to add to the Q: if you hit it perfectly, you do a lot of damage and you heal. If you don't, you do way less damage. And one more thing to note is you apply a stack of passive if you hit it perfectly. But if you don't, there's sadly no stack. Next up, Darius W's Crippling Strike. On this ability you gain 25 bonus attack range, then you also gain bonus physical damage. You slow the target by 90% for 1 second, which makes it a lot easier to hit your Qs if you so decide to combo them. Now, one important thing to note: if Crippling Strike kills the opponent, it refunds its mana cost and half of its cooldown, so it's actually usable on minions if you want to last hit and you're having a difficult time doing so. Now, last thing I wanted to say about the W is it's also an auto attack reset, so if you auto attack first and then use W right after, it's almost going to be instant and you're going to animation cancel. Next up we have Darius' E Apprehend. Darius gains armor penetration as a passive. It's quite a lot, it's 5 up to 25 at max rank. And then the next part is even more cool, the active part. You pull people in towards you and you slow them by 40% for 1 second, which also means you can combo this with your Q, so it's much easier to hit if you use Q instantly. Now it's time to talk about the coolest ability, the Ultimate. Darius dunks on people and it's an unstoppable ability, so it cannot be stopped once it's started. Now, this ability is supposed to be used as an execute. You do more damage depending on how many stacks you have. If you have 5 stacks, you do 100% more damage. It does true damage as well, so it goes straight through them no matter if it's a tank or if it's a squishy, they take the same amount of damage. Now, if you kill an opponent, it resets, and you can kill another opponent if there's somebody nearby with a low amount of health. Now, a small thing to note about his ultimate: if you kill an opponent near minions, the minions are gonna flee for 3 seconds and they're gonna be running around fiat basically. Alright, let's talk about Darius' skill order. So level 1 to 3 is a little bit different. Sometimes you want to go Q level 1 if you want to play a bit more passive and you want the enemy to be stronger and you're a little bit scared. If you want to play super aggressive, you can go W level 1. Take up the pressure, auto attack them, apply the W, and do a ton of damage instantly. This is what you do if you're stronger than an opponent. And now at level 2, you'll often skill your E ability. The reason you skill E ability very often at level 2 is because it kinda puts you in a safer spot, right? By having your E ability, you pull people towards you, they get slowed, and you can actually run away and kite somewhat. So if you get gang level 2, you have a higher chance of survival. And also the E is obviously good for being aggressive as well. And then at level 3, you obviously skill the last ability. Now, once you have all the abilities, you focus on maxing Q, afterwards E, and last W. The reason for that is because W just doesn't scale that well, and Q is super good with the healing and the damage. Now let's do a quick question of the day. What rank are you aiming for in Season 11? Write a comment below and tell us what your goal is for Season 11. And now, my friends, we get to the most exciting part. Darius runes. The first one, you go Conqueror. I don't think anything else makes sense. Second one, you go Triumph. Again, I don't think anything else makes sense. You don't really need the mana and you don't need the overheal. After that, you go for Legend, Alacrity, or Tenacity, depending on your lane opponent. Legend Bloodline doesn't make sense, you don't need it. Tenacity is obviously what you go for the majority of time because there's a lot of CC in the game currently. But if you're playing against a team that almost no CC, you don't need it, and in those cases you will go for attack speed. And now for the last precision rune, you will be going Last Stand. Last Stand is absolutely amazing on top lane right now. It's probably the best rune overall, and you will almost always go this one. Now, we get to the second tree, which is much more interesting. So what people often go for is Nimbus Cloak and Celerity. This rune choice is really good because you're running Flash Ghost most of the time, and you're planning to kill people and run them down. Ghost allows you to do that, very important in Darius. This is the aggressive rune set. Now there's also a passive rune set which you can go for. Now, the passive rune set is a bit more complicated, so there's a bunch of options to choose from. There's Demolish, there's Segment or Bone Plating, then there's Overgrowth, and Unflinching. Now it's a little bit complicated, so let me take you through all of them. Demolish is what you want to use if you're dominating lane, but you're not really planning on killing people that much, you just want to take lane pressure. Then you have Bone Plating, which you'll mostly choose. You choose this one for the all-in fights that are kinda close, but you want the edge. So for example, if you're playing against the Wukong, bone plating is good because it's going to be close fights where you can take the edge due to bone plating and then you can win it. Now, Second Wind is what you want to take against really difficult matchups that are poking you all the time, and you can't really kill them. Next up we have Overgrowth. Overgrowth is what you want to take if you want to be more tanky side. So for example, if you're planning to be taking a lot of damage and you're the only tankier person on your team. Now let's talk about Unflinching. This is a very popular rune. Unflinching gives you tenacity and slow resistance, which is super valuable on Darius. Darius's biggest problem is being kited, and having tenacity and slow resistance is extremely valuable, because it just allows you to catch people easier and not be a sitting duck that's just getting shot at all the time without being able to do anything. Alright, now we get to the small runes. In the small runes, I recommend you take attack speed, works really well. In the second one, you take attack damage, and the last one, you want to take armor or matrices, depending on your opponent. Mostly you want to take armor because you'll also take a lot of minion damage because you're a melee champion. Alright, now we're getting into the items. The items for Darius is really interesting. He used to be kind of weak, but he's actually incredibly strong due to the new mythic items. Alright, so here's what you're gonna do. When you start the game, you're gonna go for Dawn's Shield or Dawn's Blade, depending on what you're against. Dawn's Shield is against people that are gonna poke you all the time and they're kind of very difficult matchups. But Dawn's Blade is what you want to take if you're gonna kill your opponent. They're kind of weak and you can just run at them all the time. Now the first item you want to get is going to be Stridebreaker. Now let's get into how you want to build that item. Personally, I think Iron Spike Whip is the best thing to rush, because by getting Iron Spike Whip, it's much faster if you push the lanes whenever you want to push. So your goal is to kind of freeze the wave, kill the opponent, and then push as fast as possible, which it helps out with. It also does a ton of damage to the opponent, so it helps you kill them. Then after that, you obviously want to get the Hardbound Axe, and then you're going to get the Stridebreaker. After Stridebreaker, you want to go for boots, mostly plated steel caps, sometimes mercs. Now once you have your two core items, what I would recommend is for you to get Steric's Gauge. After you have Steric's Gauge, you mostly want to go Deadman's Blade, unless you really need Magic Resist and you're playing against the almost full magic comp. In that case, you can go Force of Nature here. And then once you have those items, the last item that I recommend for you is between Thornmail, Gargoyle Stoneplate, Death Stance, and Chimpunk Chainsaw. Now let's break down when you want to buy these items. Thornmail is when you're against a lot of people that are hitting you, but you can't really hit them back as easy, but you still need the armor and you need the anti-heal. Then you have the Gargoyles, which is really good when you can reach people and you just want to be super strong and tanky. Maybe you're the only tank in the team, but the enemy team is kind of melee oriented and they're going to go into you. Now we have Death Stance. Death Stance is what you want to build and you're kind of more split pushing, or if you just don't think they can kill you, you're so tanky and you're so strong that nobody can kill you, and having that more damage and healing is more beneficial than just straight up tanky stats. Now last but not least, we have Chimpunk's Chainsaw. Chimpunk Chainsaw is what you want to build if you can actually hit the opponent. You don't want Thornmail, but you want to apply the anti-healing yourself, and you want to be hitting people down. For example, let's say you're kind of split pushing against an Irelia. In that case, well, maybe Chimpunk Chainsaw is better, because you will be hitting her and you can 100% determine that you're going to apply that grievous wound. Alright, thanks, that's it for this guide. Leave a like if you liked it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.